Well, today I drew another Saja Soda, and today it's time to draw Abby. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to draw 2 dots for the start of this cylinder for the can. And we're going to draw a foreshortened circle. So we're saying that this can is below our eye level so we can see the top of it. So there are different ways we can draw cylinders. This is the one we can see the top of. Now we go ahead and repeat that same foreshortened circle. So we're working on the lip of this can. Now this is going to be the height of the can on the outside. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and match this line that curves down. Now I'm going to add the thickness on the inside of the can. So we're going to draw another line that curves up. And then we're going to add the details for the opening of the can and the little tab. And these little details make our can look a little bit more realistic. Alright, so we go ahead and start drawing these diagonal lines now on the left and right hand side. Now I'm going to make 2 dots. This is going to determine the height of the can and also maintaining the same width. It's just going to give me a point of reference to draw to. And these lines curve down at the bottom of this can. Add another little layer. This is an example of overlapping. It just adds a little bit more depth and dimension. Once again, match that line that curves down. And I'm going to do it one more time. This is going to be the bottom of the label that's actually on the can. All right. So with this little rectangle here, I'm going to rough in where the lettering is going to go for Saja Boys. This is Saja Soda, straight out of K-pop Demon Hunters, except this is Abby. This is Abby's version of the Saja Soda. Well, I wonder what kind of flavor this tastes like. Something tropical, maybe? I don't know. So this is going to be the circle. This is going to start off the shape of the head. And I like to start the heads off with the circle because the circle can be turned into a sphere. So it can be turned into a form just by curving a line out, like on this example, to the left. So if I curve a line to the left, the head is now rotated to the left. I'm going to go ahead now, and this center line here is also going to create the chin of the character. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to curve a line down. So this head is tilted forward. It's tilted down so we can see more of the top part of the head. So this is going to be the jawline now. And you can see the placement of the ear is below the eye line. So it really lines up with your eyebrow and the bottom part of your nose. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and draw in the little cheek and the jawline on the left-hand side. So some people are like, man, my portraits look so flat. Well, you got to start drawing them in 3/4 view. As you can see, a circle can become a form, and now it is 3-dimensional. I went in and just erased off a few construction lines. And then if we measure from the eyes to the chin, the nose is in the middle. And if we measure from the nose to the chin, the mouth would be in the middle. So those are some of the basic proportions we're using for our portrait today. And we're going to draw big eyes. Got a football shape, so I curved line up, then I curved line down. Add a little circle inside the eye. And adding the eyebrow. A little detail here inside of the ear. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw the eye on the left-hand side. And once again, adding the eyebrow. And if you're on a phone or an iPad, as you know, you can use your fingers to zoom in as needed. So this is the hairline. And with these characters, the head, obviously the bangs go obviously down by the eyebrows. I'll start drawing these lines. You can see the hair points in one direction, and the hair is coming down across the forehead, right above the eyebrows here. It's also got a little ski cap. Alright, so this is the ski cap. We're just going to go ahead and match that same line that curves up. Then we'll go ahead and start drawing the shape of the ski cap. And like I said, I'm just going back and erasing off some construction lines. And this hair is overlapping, so now it's going in front of the little ski cap on Abby's head. I'm just going to widen the hat a little bit more. So now it kind of lines up with this ear. And once again, we're using the constructivist approach, building with shapes and forms. Obviously being loose and sketch-like. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding in the neck. So this is a little bit of hair below the ear. we have a little neck of our character. Alright, so we're going to start working on the collar of the shirt here. You can see I'm curvy line up. And this is going to create the collar of the shirt. On the right hand side. And once again, collar on the left hand side. So now we have the shoulder. Draw out the shoulder here on the left hand side. So we're going to see more of the shoulder on the right hand side because it's closer to us. Shoulder on the left hand side, not as wide. Just going to use a little stick arm and hand. So sometimes we start off the figure with a little stick person. This creates the angle of the arm. And now I'm going to go ahead in with some shapes here. So it's going to be the elbow. And now the forearm tapers. It means those lines get closer together as you get towards the wrist. Let's get adding the little sleeve. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start drawing in the fingers. Doing these little rectangular shapes here for the fingers. Just the palm of the hand. Now we're going to go ahead and add the thumb. Curve these lines out to the left here, and this is going to create the knuckles. And as artists, we're constantly evaluating our artworks. We're kind of making adjustments as needed. And now I'm going to go ahead and start drawing the flowers here, these oval-shaped petals. I'm going to make it look more like a hibiscus. So maybe it's a Hawaiian-themed shirt. Go ahead and add the right sleeve now. See just a little bit of the arm. Alright, so here's our little text box. I'm going to use all capital letters, Saja. So you can see I drew a little guideline halfway through the box that creates the height of the lettering. And that's how I make sure the lettering is about the same size. So same thing for the base here. And I'm just drawing the letters in between these two lines, the one above and below. And you can decorate the can however you like. I'm going to go ahead and add some hearts on there. Obviously, we're spending quite a bit of time on this drawing today, so I kind of held back a little bit on the details on the can. Obviously, you could add repetition of like bubbles, dots, hearts. So this is an example of use of repetition now. So I'm drawing multiple hearts. And we'll go ahead and clean up a few construction lines, and then we're going to get ready to outline today. So I'm outlining with a brush tip marker, and this brush tip is firm. A lot of brush tip markers are not. This one here is more of a hard brush tip marker. So if you go on the tippy toe of this marker, it gets really nice thin outlining. And obviously if you get onto the side of it or press down, you can get a little bit of a thicker line. So as you're outlining, you want to vary your line weight, also known as your line thickness. Also too, depending on the direction of your light source, the side of the shadow, you can go thicker with your outlining. So this is powder pink. This is going to create the shadows. And then I'm going to go in with beige. So just with those two values, look how 3D Abby's looking. And in the hair, I went in with pink. Did some white highlights, with some light pink. I have yellow ochre. And then I have the light yellow is going to be ivory. I have some fuchsia here, creating a darker red violet. And we have the robin green. This is this wonderful turquoise color. And for the shadows, I have emerald green. That's what's cool about these Posca paint markers, is the color palette is pretty awesome. I've got red, and then I'm adding a little bit of dark red where there should be some shadows. Now here I'm going in with the light purple. I'm making this can backlit. So like the light source is behind the can. I'm going to go in with my darkest purple. Going with my medium purple, and I'm adding a little bit of white. So I'm kind of outlining Abby a little bit, and I'm also creating a little bit of a color gradation. And that's an example of creating like a soft edge, right? So you kind of blend your edges. All right. And with the can, I'm just using gray and white and adding some shadows. I'm also able to achieve some lighter grays as well. Just with those two values, look how three-dimensional it's looking. Well, if you love K-pop Demon Hunters, I've got a full step-by-step drawing videos waiting for you on my channel. And go ahead and pick your next one. Alright, well, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Well, watch me turn romance Saja boy from K-pop Demon Hunters into a cute soda can. Alright, let's get started. So we're going to start off with 2 dots and a foreshortened circle. This is going to create the cylinder for the soda can. And we're going to go ahead and create another one, another foreshortened circle inside of it, a little bit smaller. This creates width for the top of the lip of this can here. And next we're going to add some height. So we're going to add 2 small lines here. This is the height for the outer part of the lip. Your lips touch when you drink a soda can. Alright, Now, for the inside of the can, we're going to create the height of the line that curves up. So I have a ton of these 3D drawings. I hope you're enjoying them. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Alright, so let's go ahead and add the opening now for the top. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any video. So we have the tab here. Just drawing with some basic shapes right now. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and start creating the shape of the can. So I'm going to draw these two diagonal lines out. And now I'm going to draw a line that curves down. I'm going to map that same curve for the lip of the soda can. Now I'm going to create two marks, creating the height of my can. So this is going to give me a reference point to draw to. Looks a little bit like playing connect the dots. So always paying attention to size and placement in our drawing. And then now I'm going to go ahead and, once again, curve a line down. The common mistake is drawing a straight line across, then you combine a shape with the form. So, trying to draw the silhouette. So I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw all these other cool soda cans and others like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece. So we might end up with a huge soda can series here. Some popular manga characters, anime characters. So we're going to go ahead and add a little base to this can. Adds a little bit of overlapping, adds a little bit more depth. We're going to now draw the circle for the head of romance. So this is going to be the placement right here. And I like to start off with the circle because you could rotate a circle in space because you can turn a circle into a form, right? So for instance, today we're going to turn romance's head to the right. We're going to curve a line to the right. And that circle will then become a form. So with the circle, you could rotate heads, tilt them up and down. And so some people are like, man, how do I get my portraits looking more 3D, my characters more 3D? And that's what we're all about here. Do a lot of 3D drawing. Let's get that again. So I'm just going to do a common approach of starting off with a little stick person. It creates the gesture or the pose of these arms. Obviously we have some overlapping here, so this arm is in front of the upper arm. So the upper arm we're going to see a little bit of. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw like the center line of the body here. We're going to have to draw the jacket here. So make sure that's centered. I'm going to curve a line out to the right. And I'm going to curve a line slightly up as well. This is what I was talking about. Now, that circle is a form. Now it's 3D. And it's so easy. Curve a line down to make them look down. Curve a line up to make them look up. Curve a line left, curve a line right. It's a super easy approach to drawing the figure. I just wanted to clean up that line a little bit before I start drawing the eyes. So I'm just going to create a football shape. And larger eyes, so they have like exaggerated proportions. So large eyes, tiny nose, tiny mouth, and big hair. And Romance has a lot of hair today. And I think it turned out pretty cool. So for the nose, we're just going to basically point an arrow to the right. One arrow to the right. Start adding in the lip. So this line that curves down here basically separates the teeth from the bottom lip. Now that center line is really important because that's the placement of my chin. I made a little dot there. This manga style characters obviously have triangular shaped faces, chins. So we curve that line up where the ear is going to go. And the top part of the ear touches that line with the eyes. Guideline for the eye. And I'm going to add in the eyebrows. Alright, I'm going to start adding the hair now. So these are going to be the bangs. I'm going to draw them up. You gotta have cool hair if you're an anime character. Same thing on this other side, curving this line up. And oftentimes the hair is drawn over the eyes or above the eyebrows. And that's what makes them look so cool. I'm just going to go ahead and add the bottom part of the hair. Would this be a mullet, guys? What is this going on here? Is Romance rocking a mullet? Pink mullet? Maybe. And then we'll go ahead and start working on the left-hand side. So we're going to see more of the left side part of the head because the head is turned to the right. We're seeing more of the back of the head here. Well, this is definitely a limited edition soda can. It's one of one. Just going to reinforce the hairline there. And I think Romance really likes Zoe. Just cleaning up those construction lines. So when we're sketching, when we're building with shapes and forms, we oftentimes have construction lines so we draw light. And these Posca paint markers will cover up all of your construction lines. So I'm going to work on the collar now. You have the opening of the shirt. That's the shape of the collar on the left. Alright, so we got the necklace dialed in. Now, you can obviously draw your character with shapes, but I'm going to use forms here. So I'm going to draw 2 dots and a foreshortened circle. This is going to make a cylinder. This is going to be the elbow. Now the forearm tapers in. Means those lines get closer together when you get towards the wrist. And you go ahead, I guess this is like what, the rock out symbol? Like, let's rock, dudes. And then once we get that drawn in, we have the thumb. Now I'm going to go out and erase those construction lines out. So I hope you're enjoying using the constructivist approach to drawing. We're literally building our drawings with shapes and forms. And same thing on this arm. 2 dots, a foreshortened circle. And now it's going to be a form, cylinder. Same thing. Forearm tapers, gets closer when it gets to the wrist. I'm going to add the thumb in there. And if you don't have Posca markers, don't worry, you can color with whatever you have. But if you do have Poscas, I'll go over all the colors and I'll do the walkthrough on how I colored this in today. So we've done 4 Saja Boy soda cans now. We're just needing mystery. If you have any other requests for K-pop Demon Hunters, leave it in the comments. Now I'm going to create like a little text box for Saja Boys. Now that I have my little text box, go ahead and add the letters. That'll make sure they're all the same height. Alright, so we're about ready to outline. So at this point, like I said, clean up your construction lines, make any adjustments as needed. And today I'm outlining with a brush tip marker. And this tip is hard on this marker, so you get really nice thin outlines, but you can also get thicker outlines as well when you press down harder. So some of the line work in the hair I'm going to do with Posca paint marker. And I think they sell like manga pen sets at the store. You can always get those for outlining. This is the pink Posca paint marker. Just going to put down a base color. These are the shadows now, powder pink. And these are the shadows of the skin tone. And then I'm going with some beige. And just with 2 values, you can see how 3-dimensional it's looking. Adding in some brown for the eyes. Now I'm going to go in with straw yellow for the base color. And now I'm going in with fuchsia. It's a really dark pink. Red violet. And I'm going with the light pink now. Lighting the hair up, and with the white adding in some highlights. Bringing the fuchsia for the eyebrows. Adding in some little more color for the eyelids. So I've got yellow ochre there for the shadows and the yellow shirt. And then for the soda can for silver, I basically have gray and white, and I'm adding shadows, and I'm also blending with the white Posca paint marker. Got the coral pink and fuchsia, and at the bottom I'm going to add a little bit more color, so I'm going to add in the so for right here I've got the light purple, adding in some pink, get some coral pink, and I got some white highlights, so it's going to look like this can is backlit. And then now with the purple Posca paint marker, I'm just going back over my lettering. And you can see how three-dimensional our drawing turned out today. Is pretty fantastic. Well, we're going to be doing mystery next. Like I said, leave some comments. What should the next videos be? And once again, I'm going over with that same brush tip marker. And bring out all those original details. Like I said, the Posca paint markers cover up all construction lines. And look at that. Well, thank you for drawing with me. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Watch me turn baby Saja Boy into a kawaii soda can using Posca markers. Clean outlines, thick shading, and easy to follow steps. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to draw 2 dots in a foreshortened circle. This is going to create the top of the cylinder. So we're saying this soda can is below our eye level so we can see the top of it. I'm actually going to copy that same oval. This is a foreshortened circle. That's going to help create the thickness of the lip of the can. Just kind of going back over that outlining here. Now I'm going to go ahead and curve a line up. This creates the height of the lip of the soda can on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and kind of sketch in a little bit more detail on top of my can. So I'm kind of using this half oval and rectangular shape. Create the opening of the soda can and the tab. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 lines down, once again establishing the height of the lip of the can, but this is on the outside now. Make sure I match that line that curves down. Always want to match those curves. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with the shape of the soda can. So I'm going to go ahead and use these diagonal lines. And once again, I'm going to try to match that same line that curves down. Match those lines. I'm going to draw 2 reference points that determines the height of the can and the width of the can at the base. So I use that as a little reference point to draw to. And then I'm going to go ahead and once again do a matching line that curves down. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more detail to the base of this can. Match those lines that curve down once again. And so by adding these layers, we're using overlapping, which is a method of creating space. We're trying to make this flat piece of paper appear to be three-dimensional. All right, I'm going to start roughing in the head. So we are using construction lines. You might want to draw lightly. So we're building our drawings with shapes and forms. And this circle can be rotated in space by using cross contour lines that curve around the form. So if I, for instance, curve a line out to the left, then baby Saja boy is going to have his head turned to the left. And then that center line, I want to draw down because that is the reference point for the chin. His head is tilted forward. So we're seeing a lot of the top of his head. So now his eyes are lower. Proportions change when you tilt the head up and down. So if he was facing just straight forward, the proportions would pretty much be eyes in the middle of the head, right? If you measure from the eyes to the chin, the nose would be in the middle, nose, chin, mouth in the middle. And so we're going to go ahead and add in the jawline. And then right here, underneath the eye line, we will add the ear. Right here. And so that's why I like starting off my portraits with circles, because you can rotate circles in space and get that pose dialed in. So now we have the placement of the eyes, nose, and the mouth. So we're using proportions, size relationships in the drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of make more of a football shape for the eye. So a line that curves down, a line that curves up. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a little circle inside of the eye. And you can zoom in with your fingers if you're on an iPad or if you're on a touch screen, like a phone. I used to zoom in and all that kind of stuff, but I think, you know, it's best for you guys to control what you want to see. Now the bangs with these characters go down right above their eyes. So it makes these characters look so cool, right? Notice how I have the hair pointing in the same direction? It's all pointing now out to the right. So I'm not drawing like tiny little strands of hair. I'm just, like I said, drawing using shapes, kind of pointing the tips of the hair in the same direction. And then I have a little bit of hair now underneath the ear. Once again, that creates a little bit more overlapping space. And now we're going to go ahead and add in Saja Boy's hat. So I'm just kind of roughing in the shape of the hat. And I'm going to match this line that curves up here, that goes around the head. Remember, we're matching lines. Got to get those curves to match. And then now I can add a little bit more detail into the hat. I'm just going to draw lines that, you just draw lines that curve up the top. And then we're just going to add in here the bill of this little cap here. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of like let the hat go outside of the soda can. So I thought that was a cool little visual effect. I really like the color palette too. These Posca markers, they never disappoint. I really love the Posca paint marker color palette, and I've used different brands And the color palette is everything. It really is. So I always get the Posca markers on the Black Friday deal. You get like 105 of them. Pretty much the whole collection. And they're only $150 for 105 markers on Black Friday. So that's when I always get mine every year. Just adding the fingers, adding obviously the details for the arm. And you can see we can kind of rough in with shapes. But now I'm going to go ahead and make this more three-dimensional by curving this line down. I could have just drawn a foreshortened circle there, but I didn't want to have to erase all these construction lines, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up some of these lines here. So as you guys know, we use those cross contour lines to turn the head. We're able to turn the head to the left by curving the head line to the left. We can turn heads down by turning and curving lines down. And this is something too you can draw right into a tablet as well. So I love Procreate. There's just something about being able to zoom into your drawing. It's so cool. But I do love to paint, and that's why I love acrylic paint markers. So we're going to go ahead and start adding the collar of the shirt. See, these are the shapes I'm using. You see, it kind of looks like a letter V here on the neck, a V-neck. And then I'm going to go and just add a little bit of waviness, make it a little bit more like organic. The way a sweatshirt would really look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use a shape. Kind of creates a text box for all these letters. For baby Saja boy. If you wanted to, you could add soda pop. All right, so I have a text box and I have these little guidelines that help me create the height of the letters. And when I draw letters, I oftentimes use my contour drawing technique. So I'll like trace with my eyes, my hands will do what my eyes are doing. And there's all sorts of cool fonts on the internet. And obviously you could add on to the detail of your soda can if you wanted to add like soda bubbles off to the side. What else could you add to your Saja Boy soda pop can? Maybe some hearts. And I think I noticed my daughter got really into lettering, I think, in 5th grade, and then obviously throughout high school. So I think lettering is fun to do. Like I said, I like the different fonts that you can find. And obviously there's the graffiti style fonts. So you have throw up, bubble letters, block letters, different styles. So we find that a lot of modern artists incorporate graffiti art in parentheses, right? Most artists are commissioned nowadays when they do these murals. All right, so we got baby Saja boy. So now there's time to like stand back from your work, make corrections as needed. Obviously, you can go up and start cleaning up some of these construction lines. If you wanted to add a little extra detail, you could add in soda pop. All right, so I'm using a brush tip marker and it has a firm tip on it. So you can get right on the tippy toe of the brush, get some nice thin outlining, and you can also get onto the side and also press down on that brush to create different line thicknesses, which we call line weight. It's always great when you're inking stuff, right? And also too, one thing you can do is you can thicken up your outlining wherever your shadows are going to be. So the opposite of your light source, that side you can get a little bit thicker on the outlining. And it'll kind of reinforce those shadows. So this is powdered pink. It's going to create the shadows in our skin tone. And I'm just going to go in with the beige. And look how 3D just with those two values. So I've got robin green and emerald green and white. So that white adds the highlights. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in the shadows with the emerald green. And I have yellow and yellow ochre, my two values for the hat. I added a little bit of gray into the eyes. And then this is just light pink and pink. And then my third value for the shadows is going to be fuchsia today. And that's why the Posca paint marker set's so cool. I mean, these color palettes are really awesome. When I use other brands, I really miss the Posca marker color palette, to be honest. So I'm going to make this can look like it's backlit. So I'm making the left and right sides of the cans with the light pink. I've got the pink in for the base tone. I got fuchsia underneath the lip. I'm just using gray and white and blending it in with my marker to create the different shades of gray. Pretty effective. So like I said, if you have a painterly approach to using these paint markers, you can see you get a lot of mileage out of them. So I'm going to go ahead and down and put in the base colors on these letters. And then I'm going to go in outline with just a blue. And now I'm using a 3M, which was decent. I was able to do it. So as you know, Posca, the 5M is the medium tip. That's the one that most people use. That's like the workhorse. But they do have the smaller 3Ms and even smaller sizes too. So I'm just going to go in and clean up my outlining. And like I said, it just never gets old. You know, Posca paint markers are where it's at. And I love using them. But as you know, you could use what you have. You could do this with alcohol-based markers, colored pencils. It's always good to practice in different mediums. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye. Today we're drawing Jinu from K-pop Demon Hunters, inspired by the viral Soda Pop song, and turning him into a cute soda can using Posca paint markers. So we're going to start off with the cylinder. of the soda can. So I'm creating 2 dots. That's the width of the top of the can. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw a foreshortened circle. And we're drawing loose. We can clean up our work later. So I do like to draw lighter. And as you know, we use construction lines. We build with shapes and forms. So we're using the constructivist approach to drawing. We're matching those lines that curve down. And we're going to be drawing a line that curves up. And the same thing, we're going to match that curve up. So we're matching curves. This little opening of the soda can and the tab. So I made Jinu with the little heart-shaped sign in his hand today. So now we're going to go ahead and do the shape of the can. So we're going to go ahead and use 2 diagonal lines out. Once again, try to match that same curve down. So I'm going to draw 2 dots. This is going to determine the height of the can. And I'll have a point of reference to draw to. And make sure when you draw the bottom of the can, you want to curve these lines down. Some people tend to draw them straight across, and then now it looks like you're combining a shape with a form. So these lines curve down. So we're going to add a little bit more detail to the bottom of this can. And now, once again, matching that line that curves down. And we're going to add one little more layer, so it's the use of overlapping. It's making this can appear to be more three-dimensional. I know drawing cans is also sometimes a middle school art lesson. Sometimes in high school, they'll have you draw soda cans, crush them, redraw them. So I'm just penciling in Saja boys up top. And then we're going to start drawing Jinu. So we're drawing Jinu chibi style. So big head, little body, big eyes, little nose, little mouth. And so those proportions is what makes these characters so adorable. So this is the shape of the head that I'm going for today. Kind of see it a little bit of like a rounded, a little bit of a rectangular shape, maybe tic-tac shape. Like I said, we're loosely drawing. We can always go back like this, clean up our work. Now I'm going to go ahead and curve a line out to the left. So Jinu's head's going to be slightly turned to the left. And this is going to be the line for the placement of the eyes. And so we'll make the right eye a little bit larger and the left eye a little bit smaller. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the chin. So where the center line is, you can see now it's angular. Let's go ahead and draw an oval with one white highlight inside of the eye. Adding the eyelid. And this side I purposely did a little bit smaller. because once again, we want to sell that this is a head slightly turned to the left. You'll see a little bit more of the mouth on the right-hand side because the face is rotated. So we see more of the right side of the face. We'll go ahead and add another ear on the left-hand side. Curving line out to the left. And you can see for the nose, it's like a small little arrow pointing to the left. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of a hairline. Now we go ahead and just kind of create another little shape for the placement of the hair. And then we're going to go in and just obviously start changing the outline of the hair. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the bangs in front of the forehead. So oftentimes chibi characters have hair that goes across their foreheads. And same thing, adding some more bangs. You can see on the left-hand side, the hair's kind of pointing in one direction. Now on the right-hand side, the hair's going to start pointing out towards the right. And once again, you go in and clean up any construction lines. So go ahead and add the neck. The shoulders were going to be tilted up on the left-hand side. I'm just going to go ahead and draw like a little rectangle down. Go ahead and start drawing this long sleeve shirt. Again, using these rectangular shapes. These lines are kind of curving a little bit. And so, adding some shoulder there. So I'm just going to kind of rough in a little stick arm, a little circle hand. Now I'm going to use a form. 2 dots, foreshortened circle. That's going to make his arm look 3-dimensional. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add the forearm now. And I can go now and erase out these construction lines. So you see this approach oftentimes, you start off with like a little stick person creating the pose. And then you can go in and use shapes and forms to fill in the character. Go ahead and add these fingers to the hand. I'm going to go ahead and add the belt. Basically just adding 2 squares for the belt buckle. It's adding another little line that goes down for the collar of the t-shirt. Go ahead and add the collar of the shirt now. Kind of curving line up. Drawing a line up towards the shoulder and then back behind the neck. Same thing, using just a stick arm and a circle for the hand. Now we go ahead and do 2 dots, a foreshortened circle, And this is creating the elbow now and the forearm of the character. So he's looking 3D. Adding that shoulder. And now we're going to go ahead and add the little heart emoji. And then add the thumb in there. So if you don't have Posca markers, don't worry, you could just use whatever you have. I'm using colors value. And I'll walk you through the process. So I'm going to add Jinu's name, because we're going to do the whole series of the Saja boys. And Baby will be the next one in the playlist. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have a firm brush tip marker. These are great because you can get the fine detailed lines, and if you press down a little bit, you can get a little bit of a thicker outline. So you can vary your line weight. I'm going to add a little bit more detail into the hair. And add a little bit more hair behind the chin here. And so once again, you can see these markers are really good at detailing. So I just have a gray and a white marker. And what I'm doing is I'm adding in the shadows with the gray, and then I'm starting to soften the edges with the white Posca paint marker. So you can see variations of the gray, and that's called value, lightness or darkness of a color. And you can see the can is already looking super three-dimensional. This is beige Posca marker for the skin tone. And then I think I'm going to go in with a powdered pink, I believe, for the shadows on the skin tones. Going with some light blue and blue. And we'll have blue, navy blue, sky blue. Pretty much all the blues that Posca makes. So adding in the jean color. And so I will go in with the white marker, add some highlights, or if I need to lighten values, tint them. I'll do that with the white marker. So just like with the gray and the white there. Then we go ahead and add a little plaid pattern onto the shirt. And Jinu's looking pretty awesome right now, super three-dimensional. And once again, I'm going to go in with a darker blue. But you can see the can is backlit, so I left the left and right edges white. Now I'm going to go in with some sky blue and light blue. That's those three values of blue that you're seeing there. And there's an even darker navy blue as well. So you can see where we're adding the shadows underneath the top of the can there. I'm going to go back over with my marker now. Kind of cleaning up all my outlines again. And then we're going to be adding the Saja boys up at the top. And you can see that's about it for today's drawing. Well, if you had fun turning Jinu into a soda can, make sure to like and subscribe for more cute Posca marker art. And check out the rest of my K-pop Demon Hunters fan art and drawing tutorials. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, Sketchup friends. Well, don't blink because the mystery Saja boy is about to become the coolest soda can in the entire K-pop Demon Hunters series. So we're closing out the soda can series today with mystery. We're going to start off with a cylinder. We're going to draw 2 dots and a foreshortened circle for the top of the can. Now we're going to go ahead and add one more ellipse or foreshortened circle. And now we're going to create the height of the lip of this soda can. These 2 lines down. And then when drawing cylinders, we want to match these curves. So I'm going to try to match this curve down. And then next we're going to add some thickness on the inside of the lip. So I'm going to curve a line up. So I'm matching this line up now. We're going to draw the opening of the soda can. And I'll also add a little tab. You can make it more like a trapezoid so it gets smaller off in the distance. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and do the shape of the body of the can. So I'm going to draw these two diagonal lines out. And then I'm just going to make some 2 reference points about how tall I'm going to make the can. And I'm just going to draw this line down. As you can see, I'm keeping my pencil on the paper. Same thing on the other side. Let's make sure we curve this line down, and we want to match the top part of the can. So we're saying that this can is below our eye level. We can see the top of it. So all these lines are curving down. All right, we're going to go ahead and draw the portrait of Mystery now. I'm going to start off with a circle because you could use a contour line like this one here, and it turns it into a form. So I'm going to curve a line out to the right. And this is also creating the chin. So Mystery's head is turned to the right and tilted down, so we're going to see a lot of the top part of the head and his hair. So if I measure from the eyes to the chin, nose is in the middle, nose to chin, mouth is in the middle. And when I'm drawing the hair, and I'm kind of pointing the hair in one direction, I'm not drawing like single strands of hair. I'm just basically drawing the hair with shapes. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the shoulders. So the left side of the body is a little bit wider because it's closer to us. This is going to be the center line of the shape of the body. And I'm going to use that as a reference to draw. It's kind of triangular shape for the collar of his sweater. And these lines are going to taper as they get, that means the lines get closer together as they get towards the wrist. So the forearm is going to be wider, and then they're going to get closer together. I'm going to go ahead and use a form here. That's going to make this hand look more three-dimensional. So when you start drawing, we always build with shapes, but at a certain point, you got to be able to build with forms. How you're going to level up your drawing skills. So I have all these 3D drawing videos for you to do that. And I'm just going to erase off the bottom part here. This is where the mystery lettering is going to be positioned. And I'm just going to create a text box. And then the text box determines the height of the letters, so they'll all be approximately the same. And I'm just using all capital letters. I'm going to go ahead and clean up those construction lines now. So I like using the constructivist approach, building with shapes and forms. And this marker is a brush tip, and it has a firm tip, so you can get really thin outlines, and if you press down harder, then you can get some thicker outlines. Obviously using the side of it as well, getting thicker outlining. And so in art, we call that line weight. So the thickness of the lines is considered line weight. It can be thick and thin. And when you're inking, you always want to have some variation of line weight. So I'm going to go in with beige, and I had a powder pink for the shadows. I have straw yellow and yellow ochre for 2 values of yellow. I'm using the lilac, which is the light purple, for a base color. This is going to be backlit, so I have the light purple on the sides. I'm going to go in with the darkest purple. See under the rim of the soda can. Going in with a little bit of pink around the head. This is just the regular purple. Building up some value, doing a little color mixing. Adding in some highlights with that white Posca paint marker. And yeah, so the paint was wet, so I was using it just like you would paint. That's the cool thing about paint markers is you can actually color mix them while you're working. Now I'm just going to go in and refresh that. And that's it. The final Saja Boy Soda Can is complete. But if you want to see the entire K-pop Demon Hunter Soda collection in one epic video, I'm going to be uploading a compilation video coming up here on Saturday. So, well, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.